Boy, oh boy, do we got a scandal brewing here. Toronto Raptor fans, Philadelphia 76ers fans, y'all get up in here and get a load of this. What up, family? Welcome back to the channel. You already know it's your boy Moose Talks Hoops. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit the like button. You already know. It's a lot of things in this world that cost, but hitting the like button ain't one of them. And we got a serious scandal brewing in the NBA. On Twitter, a burner account has been exposed, allegedly belonging to current 76ers coach and former Raptors coach Nick Nurse. Now, these little Twitter investigators, they're good at what they do, man. They're really good at what they do. Have exposed a burner account allegedly belonging to Nick Nurse. Now, on this burner account, allegedly, if it's Nick Nurse, we all know it's Nick Nurse. I've seen the account before it got deactivated. I've seen the screenshots. This is ugly. Now, on this burner account, Nick Nurse is ripping the Raptors organization, President Masai Ujiri, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr. Not only is he ripping the Raptors on there, he's ripping current Philadelphia 76ers players. Now, on this burner account, right? This account only has 5 likes. Now, in over 4 years, this account only has 5 likes. And those likes are tweets about the Raptors back in 2021. And just a few weeks ago about the 76ers. Now, also, this is where it gets juicy. All the activity on this burner account is in the Twitter replies. And in these Twitter replies is where Nick Nurse rips the Raptors organization, doesn't feel he was the one that should have been fired. He's calling Gary Trent Jr. selfish and said there was a lot of selfish play going on. Now, that's interesting because on Media Day, I made a video about this. Masai Ujiri came out and ripped that team from last year, calling them selfish. So that makes a lot of sense. And what makes a lot of sense is that he said there was one player that was selfish and he had an excuse. And that player being Fred VanVleet. He goes on to say on that burner account how there was only 3 good players in their playoff series against Philly a couple of seasons ago. And we all know that's Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. But then this burner account starts to get into some Philadelphia 76ers stuff. And allegedly, on this burner account, Nick Nurse is calling James Harden lazy and would prefer James Harden be traded to the Houston Rockets for Fred VanVleet. Nick Nurse goes on to say that he isn't the one to be blamed for the Raptors culture taking a hit last season, and says he was given a terrible roster. And he isn't the reason for the vibes being off in Toronto. Nick Nurse then gets back to some Raptor tweets where he's on there and he's ripping former Rookie of the Year Scotty Barnes, calling out his conditioning. And once again, calling players like Gary Trent Jr. and Malachi Flynn, players that he obviously didn't get along with, very selfish, and saying that they couldn't overcome their selfishness. Now, this is real ugly. And these guys on Twitter, they exposed this account. They sent it everywhere. And the number one thing that told me personally this account belonged to Nick Nurse is because once the account got exposed, the account got deactivated and shut down. Now, if it wasn't Nick Nurse's burner account, why in the hell did the account get shut down and deactivated? Now, this is a real bad look on Nick Nurse. This is a real bad look on the Philadelphia 76ers, being that they went through this a few seasons ago with Brian Colangelo. And we know how that played out for Brian Colangelo. He hasn't been back in the NBA since. Now, who knows if this will be enough evidence, because where these guys messed up, they just start sending the tweets out. They didn't take screenshots, or they took very few screenshots. So it'll be real interesting to see if NBA security, Adam Silver, pay a visit to Nick Nurse and the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's crazy, man. That's crazy. To see this stuff, and it's pretty clear to me, man. It's pretty clear to me this account belongs to Nick Nurse. It's pretty clear this account belongs to Nick Nurse. It's way too intricate and it's way too detailed. And Nick Nurse did a very bad job trying to cover his tracks with this one. He did a very bad job trying to cover his tracks with this one. You got a total of 5 likes on your account. All 5 either being Raptor tweets or 76er tweets. But then you got a gazillion reply tweets where you're responding to guys on Twitter and exposing inside stuff. Like, bro, this is you. Who else can know this stuff other than you? All these tweets are defending Nick Nurse. This could absolutely get Nick Nurse fired. It got Brian Colangelo fired, and he hasn't been back in the NBA since. Albeit he was a GM and president, but you've seen how that worked out for him. And Nick Nurse is ripping James Harden in these tweets. The whole account is all about Raptors and current Philadelphia 76ers stuff and defending Nick Nurse on the Sixers now and exposing what's going on with the Sixers right now and exposing what went on in Toronto and defending Nick Nurse. That's the only tweets on this account. There's no other tweets other than that. You got a gazillion tweet replies, but you only have 5 likes. And those likes being some 2021 likes about the Toronto Raptors and some likes from a few days ago on what's been going on inside of Philly. Now, best believe, once Philly fans get a hold of this information, this thing is going to spread like wildfire. Nick Nurse Twitter burner account allegedly exposed, once again, ripping current and former Raptors players, ripping James Harden, calling James Harden lazy, stating that he would like James Harden traded to Houston for Fred VanVleet, ripping Scotty Barnes conditioning, ripping the Toronto Raptors front office and Masai Ujiri, and also ripping current Raptors players like Gary Trent Jr. and going as far as to say that the culture is worse now than it was when he was there last year. This thing is interesting. This thing has legs. And to me, the cherry on top was the account getting deactivated. Because if it isn't a Nick Nurse account, if it isn't a Nick Nurse burner account, why deactivate it as soon as it gets exposed? That's my whole thing. If you're not guilty, if this isn't a burner account, well, why the hell is it deactivated as soon as it gets exposed? Daryl Morey could very well fire him. But if Adam Silver in the NBA office steps in, Daryl Morey, it won't be his choice to fire him. And that's crazy because it's going to be real interesting to see what these players say, especially current Raptors players, Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes. Those 3 is a lot that Nick Nurse did not like during his time as a Raptors head coach. And it's real interesting to me that I thought Gary Trent Jr. would not be returning to the Raptors. But once Nick Nurse was fired, we seen Gary Trent Jr. return to the Raptors. The Raptors hired a coach that meshed well with Scotty Barnes. Malachi Flynn is still in the Raptors uniform. Brother, the tweets exposed it all. There's nobody else that could know that information. And every tweet on that account is defending Nick Nurse. It's not about nothing else. Every tweet on that account is defending Nick Nurse and talking about Raptors from the time of 2020 up until the time Nick Nurse got fired, and talking about the current situation with the Philadelphia 76ers. Also defending Nick Nurse. And raving about, he did do one thing. He raved about Paul Reed. And we've seen since media day, since preseason, publicly Nick Nurse praising Paul Reed. You got a gazillion tweets, but you only got 5 likes, and all your likes, all 5 of your likes are Raptor tweets from 2021 and then Philadelphia 76ers tweets from last week. And Pillow Factory, you want to know how else we know this is actually Nick Nurse's account, although be it we still have to say allegedly? Once the account got exposed, the person behind the account deleted the account. So if it's not a Nick Nurse burner account, why the hell why did you delete the account? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Let's make it make sense here. If it's not a Nick Nurse burner account, why is the account now deactivated after the expose came out? So let's go through this thing one more time. Now, on this account, the name of the account is @Leonard1347. Who carried Nick Nurse to his first championship? Who carried Nick Nurse to be a recognizable championship coach and a good coach? Who carried that? Kawhi Leonard. First clue. Now, once again, like I said, the account only has 5 likes. And those likes, the first few of those likes are from the Raptors in 2021. And the last 2 likes are tweets about the 76ers. Coincidence? I don't think so. But in the reply section, in the tweet reply section, is where things get real interesting. Using words like, trust me, I know, when talking about stuff that was going on in the locker room for the Raptors, the selfishness. It was publicly known that Nick Nurse had a problem with Malachi Flynn, with Gary Trent Jr. In these tweets, he's ripping Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., calling them selfish, calling them unfixable. And you can ask Raptors fans, if there's any Raptors fans listening to this, Malachi Flynn has been in Nick Nurse's doghouse his entire career. Has he not? If there's any Raptors fans tuning in, has Malachi Flynn not been in Nick Nurse's doghouse the entire time Nick Nurse was the head coach? Come on now. Claiming to know more information, inside information. He's playing himself like he's an inside source. He is the source. Using this Twitter account to rip guys and rip the organization. This thing has legs. This thing is consistent. And if Adam Silver and the NBA office put some action behind this, Nick Nurse will never coach in the NBA again. You can mark my words on that. You're absolutely right, Jonathan. The The 76ers already have a lot on their hand. And I'm going to talk about this later on today. The 76ers have a lot on their hand. They got this James Harden situation. Now you got the Nick Nurse burner account situation. And then rumors are now coming out that Joel Embiid has his eyes set on New York. So the 76ers got a lot of problems on here. Another clue. Once again, I'm going to say it again. Nick Nurse all preseason has been raving about Paul Reed. All the current 76ers tweets from this account are raving about Paul Reed. He also says that Fred VanVleet wanted to stay in Toronto. And that if it was up to him right now, he would trade James Harden to Houston for Fred VanVleet. Who else is saying that other than Nick Nurse? Who else is saying that? Nobody loved Fred VanVleet more than Nick Nurse. Then this account goes on to say that Nick Nurse wasn't the problem for the bad vibes in Toronto last season. He blames the team's issues on selfishness, which we heard Masai Ujiri say on Media Day. He blames it on the roster depth. And he also blames Scotty Barnes' conditioning. Not only that, he's ripping James Harden in these tweets, saying that James Harden is lazy. Now, this thing has been spreading on Twitter like wildfire since last night. And it's going to be real interesting, especially with another smoking gun being that the account got deleted or deactivated by the owner. It's going to be real interesting to see if Adam Silver and the NBA come knocking on the door of Nick Nurse and the Philadelphia 76ers, man. This is a real serious scandal. This might be worse or just as bad as the scandal that the 76ers faced with Brian Colangelo. Nick Nurse also rips Masai Ujiri for firing the coach of the year, Dwayne Casey. If you guys remember, Dwayne Casey is the one that hired Nick Nurse to be his top assistant. And once Dwayne Casey was fired, Nick Nurse took over as head coach. And you got to think, man, it's not only NBA players that have a big ego. Coaches got egos too, especially when a coach has won a championship, albeit all the credit goes to the players. Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka. But these coaches walk around with a certain ego and a certain cachet as well. And it's so crazy that he couldn't even be more secretive about this. All your tweets are ripping the Raptors, ripping James Harden, praising Paul Reed. That's all your tweets. That's all you tweeting about. There's nothing about no other teams. There's nothing about nothing else in the NBA, nothing else about basketball, nothing else about life outside of sports. All your tweets are about defending Nick Nurse, ripping Masai Ujiri, showing love to Fred VanVleet, ripping James Harden, showing love to Paul Reed, ripping Gary Trent Jr., Malachi Flynn, ripping Scotty Barnes' conditioning. That's the entire history of that Twitter account. It's definitely Nick Nurse. And the cherry on top was once the account got exposed, the account was deactivated. If it's not Nick Nurse behind that account, what the hell are you deactivating the account for? So it's going to be real interesting to see how this thing plays out moving forward. When more news comes out about this, I'll let y'all know. Once again, I appreciate you guys for getting me to 1,500 subs. Put a lot of hard work in this channel, a lot of grind in this channel, bringing you this content fresh off the presses, hot off the streets. And I promise I'm never going to stop working. I'm always going to put that work in for y'all to get this content, to get this news. Like I said, my platform is y'all's platform. My platform is y'all's platform. And we're going to keep going hard, man. We're going to keep going hard. So I appreciate you guys for getting me to 1,500 subs. Like I said, we're going to stay real close with this story because it definitely has legs. And we're going to stay on top of this for y'all. And I'm going to put the ball in y'all's court, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Is this enough of a smoking gun that Adam Silver and the NBA should look into this alleged burner account by 76ers coach and former head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Nick Nurse? Y'all jump in the comments. Y'all let me know. Once again, I appreciate you guys. It's your boy Moose Talks Hoops. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit the like button. You already know. It's a lot of things in this world that cost, but hitting the like button ain't one of them. Share the video. Like I said, I'm going to put the ball in y'all's court. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. I'm up out of here for now. Peace and love, family. When more news comes out about this scandal involving former Raptors head coach Nick Nurse, current 76ers coach Nick Nurse, Twitter burner scandal, I'll be right here to bring it to you. So keep those post notifications on, man. This thing has legs, and this thing is serious. Peace and love, family.